Welcome to my World Review channel. The finale begins with a deceptive stillness. Snow blankets the land, muffling the chaos that's about to erupt. Inside this eerie calm, every character is preparing, whether they know it or not, for the final reckoning. Jacob Dutton stands firm at the ranch, his body weakened from injuries, but his will unshaken. Sheriff McDowell is there too, bracing for a storm of bullets. Banner Creighton, once just a pawn in Whitfield's evil plans, is now a desperate man watching everything slip away. And in the middle of it all, Spencer's train is hurtling toward Montana. But will he arrive in time? Meanwhile, the fate of Tiona Rainwater takes a dark turn. After everything she's survived, the school, the abuse, the escape, she's finally caught. And even though the warrant says to bring her in peacefully, the men who catch her don't care about justice. They want punishment. They want control. But Tiona refuses to be a victim again. In one heart-pounding moment, she reaches for a gun and fires. It's not just a fight, it's a message. She will not go quietly. Unfortunately, it's not enough. She's taken into custody, facing a trial that seems more like a setup than a chance at freedom. While this is happening, Banner arrives at Livingston Station with a dangerous decision. He's leaving. He's seen what Whitfield is capable of, what he's done to innocent women. And even Banner, ruthless as he is, has a limit. But Jacob won't let him off so easily. Jacob forces him to take responsibility for the fire he helped spark. In the end, they strike a cold bargain. Banner's wife and child can leave on the train, but Banner must stay and face the consequences. And then, just as that uneasy deal is made, Whitfield's men make their move. Armed, brutal, and many in number, they attack the Dutton Ranch. It's a full-blown assault. Kara, who has been the emotional heart of the Dutton family, grabs a rifle and joins the fight. Gunfire rings out across the snow-covered land. The ranch, the symbol of everything the Duttons have built, is now a battleground. And still, Spencer is not there. Cut to Alexandra, trapped in a freezing, snow-buried car. She's cold, frightened, and pregnant. She wraps herself in old letters and newspapers, trying to hold on to warmth and hope. Her hands are nearly frostbitten. Her mind is slipping into despair. She screams at the heavens, cursing her fate. And maybe Taylor Sheridan, too, for putting her through this nightmare. But just when it seems like all hope is lost, a train whistle cuts through the silence. From the moving train, he spots her, barely alive, and leaps off without hesitation. He runs through the snow, scooping her into his arms. There's no time to lose. The train screeches to a halt, and with help, Spencer gets her aboard. But the danger isn't over. Alexandra is in bad shape. The frostbite is severe, and her condition is unstable. A doctor on board warns Spencer. They can't stop at Livingston. She needs better care. They'll have to wait for Bozeman, where an ambulance can meet them. And then, just as the train nears Livingston, chaos explodes once more. Gunfire breaks out. Spencer, torn between saving his family and defending his legacy, makes an impossible choice. He helps Banner's wife and child board the train, honoring the deal Jacob made. But at the same time, he draws his weapons and opens fire on Banner's soldiers. The platform becomes a war zone, and in the crossfire, Jacob is shot in the stomach. Bleeding and weak, he still manages to reach Alex and joins her on the train to the hospital. In the same breath that love and hope are found, blood and violence take their place. Spencer, unable to stay with Alex, kisses her goodbye. He promises to return and rides out to face the enemy. The ranch is still under siege, and if he doesn't act fast, there may be nothing left to save. Back at the Dutton Ranch, things go from bad to worse. Whitfield's men wait for the cover of night and then strike again. This time, with Molotov cocktails and even more firepower. Flames rise high, threatening to burn everything to ash. But the defenders hold the line. Kara fights with the same strength as any soldier. Elizabeth joins too, refusing to stand back. Every shot fired is a scream of survival. Every flame smothered is one more second they can hold on. And then, Spencer returns, 2 pistols, endless rage, and the skill of a warrior. He doesn't just enter the battlefield, he dominates it. Spencer moves like a man possessed, gunning down enemies one by one. The ranch shakes with the sound of war, but for a moment the tide begins to turn. And just when they start to believe they've made it, a heartbreaking discovery. Spencer, already broken, now has to carry the weight of yet another loss. But there's no time to grieve. Whitfield is still out there, and Spencer's mission isn't finished. Second, while Spencer rides back into a war zone, the train carrying Alexandra and Jacob races toward Bozeman. The situation inside that train is desperate. Alexandra is freezing from the inside out. Her hands are blackened with frostbite, her body barely responding, but her spirit still strong. Even through the pain, she keeps one hand on her belly, refusing to give up on her unborn child. Beside her, Jacob clutches his stomach, his clothes soaked in blood. He's hanging on too, knowing he must survive if he ever wants to see Spencer again. The train finally reaches Bozeman, and both are rushed to the hospital. For Jacob, surgery is immediate. His wound is deep, but survivable. For Alexandra, things are far worse. The doctors deliver devastating news. They'll have to amputate her limbs to save her life. The frostbite has gone too far. She listens in silence, the weight of it sinking in. She looks down at her stomach, then at the baby she hasn't met yet. The thought of holding her child without arms, of walking with him without legs, is too much. She turns to the doctor and says no. Her voice is calm, but her eyes are full of fire. She refuses the surgery. She says she would rather die than bring a child into the world as a shadow of herself. It's not weakness, it's defiance. She wants her baby to remember her as strong, not broken. It's her final act of love, and it breaks everyone around her. The doctors argue, but she's made up her mind. She tells Spencer, now by her bedside, that he needs to let her go. She places his hand on her belly, and they both feel the child moving. With tears streaming down their faces, they name the baby John, after Spencer's late brother. It's a name full of legacy, pain, and honor. Alex's final moments are filled with stillness. She whispers to Spencer about their dreams, the places they'll never go, the life they'll never have. Then, with one last breath, she slips away, her head resting against his chest. Spencer doesn't scream. He doesn't cry. He just holds her. All night, the baby tucked between them. Morning comes, and Alex is gone, but the fire in Spencer's heart has never burned hotter. Grief has now become a weapon. At the hospital, Jacob recovers slowly. He asks to see the baby, and when Spencer places little John in his arms, there's a moment of quiet strength between them. Jacob sees it now. His time is coming to an end. The future of the ranch doesn't lie in his hands anymore. It lies in Spencer's. And that baby, innocent and unaware, is the last hope of the Dutton name. But there's still one man left who threatens that hope. Donald Whitfield. Spencer leaves the hospital, stone-faced and silent. He straps on his guns, loads every bullet, and rides straight to Whitfield's estate. The snow crunches beneath his boots as he approaches, and inside the luxurious mansion, Whitfield is surrounded by comfort, women, and whiskey. He doesn't expect Spencer. Not now. Not this fast. But vengeance doesn't knock. Spencer kicks open the door and storms in like death itself. Whitfield tries to talk his way out. He pleads, mocks, offers deals. None of it matters. Spencer drags him out into the snow, hands shaking not with fear, but with rage. He forces Whitfield to look him in the eyes and say Alexandra's name. "Say her name!" Spencer shouts, his voice raw with pain. Whitfield barely gets the word out before Spencer pulls the trigger. One shot, right between the eyes. The man who tormented the Duttons, who burned their land and tore their lives apart, falls into the snow with his mouth still open. It's not just revenge, it's justice. Cold and final. Back at the courthouse, Tiona's fate is being decided. After her violent escape, many expect her to be condemned. But something unexpected happens. There are no witnesses. No one dares speak against her. And when she stands before the judge and tells her story of the horrors she endured, the lives she tried to protect, something changes in the courtroom. The silence is heavy, but it speaks volumes. The judge declares her not guilty. She's free. Tiona walks out of the courthouse, a free woman with no home, no family, and no clear future. But for the first time, she's not afraid. She's not running. She's choosing. She receives a horse and rides out into the unknown, carrying only her name and the scars of her past. Whitfield is dead. The ranch is safe, for now, but the cost has been unbearable. At the Dutton homestead, Elizabeth makes a heartbreaking decision. She's lost too much. Jack is gone, and with him, her dreams of a family. She tells Jacob she's leaving. There's nothing left for her here. Jacob nods, understanding. Loss has touched them all, and everyone is finding their own way to survive it. Spencer returns with the baby. No words are spoken as he steps inside the house. Kara rushes to hold the child, tears in her eyes. Spencer looks at her, hollow and distant. He's not the same man who left all those months ago. That man was third. After the fire of revenge cools and the snow begins to settle over the land, a different kind of silence takes over, one that isn't peaceful but eerie. The kind that comes after destruction, when everything looks the same, but nothing feels right. Spencer is back at the ranch now. The baby, little John, is cradled in Kara's arms more than his. It's not because he doesn't love his son. He does, fiercely. But every time he looks at him, he sees Alexandra, her smile, her voice, her final breath. And for a man who's built his life on survival, Spencer finds himself haunted by the one thing he couldn't protect. The ranch is quiet, but not calm. The fields are scorched in places, still blackened from Whitfield's men's Molotovs. The fences are torn, the livestock is scattered, and even though the enemy is dead, the war feels far from over. There's a sense that something is coming, something spiritual, something buried deeper than any outlaw or businessman. Inside the house, Jacob recovers slowly. Every movement is a reminder of the bullet he took, but he still walks the halls like the head of the family, his cane tapping rhythmically across the wooden floor. He watches Spencer, watches Kara, watches little John, and he realizes, maybe for the first time, that his fight is done. He tells Spencer one night, "This land, this name, it doesn't belong to me anymore. It's yours, all of it." Spencer doesn't argue. He simply nods, because deep down, he knew this moment was coming. He just never expected it to feel so heavy. This ranch, this legacy, it's not just about cattle and borders. It's about blood. And now that blood is on Spencer's hands more than ever before. Meanwhile, Kara writes letters. She has always written letters, to Spencer, to loved ones far away. But now they're not meant to be sent. They're for Alex, pages of memories, of pain, of longing. She places them in a wooden box beside the fireplace, one for each day since Alexandra's death. It's her way of keeping Alex alive, of making sure her story doesn't fade like a whisper in the wind. And somewhere out in the wilderness, Tiona rides alone. She's not running anymore. She's searching for peace, for purpose, for a place that won't try to break her because of who she is. Her journey is quiet, but not without danger. She sleeps under the stars, listens to the wolves in the distance, and carries a knife not for revenge, but for survival. Every now and then, she thinks about her past, the pain, the rage, the loss, but she no longer lets it define her. Back at the ranch, a shadow still looms, because even with Whitfield gone, the truth is, men like him don't die alone. There are others, his allies, business partners, corrupt officials, who benefited from his war with the Duttons. And now that he's dead, they're angry. The word spreads. Spencer Dutton killed a powerful man, and the people who shared Whitfield's vision, they want payback. It starts small. A government official shows up at the ranch. He's polite, well-dressed, and carries papers instead of guns. He claims there are questions about Whitfield's death, that there might be consequences. Spencer doesn't flinch. He simply says, "Ask your questions, but come back with men if you want answers." Then the letters begin. Threats, legal documents, claims of property rights, all designed to pressure the Duttons, to take their land the clean way, the political way. But the family knows it's just a new war wearing a different mask. Spencer calls a meeting. Kara, Jacob, the ranch hands, everyone who's still standing. He lays out what's coming. Not bullets, but contracts. Not raids, but lawsuits. The new enemy is the system, and it's just as dangerous. Kara suggests they find allies, other ranchers, local leaders, anyone who still values the old way of life. Jacob agrees, reluctantly. He knows the Dutton name still has power, but only if it's used wisely. Spencer, however, is torn. He doesn't trust words. He trusts action. And deep inside, that old anger still burns. He spends his nights alone in the barn, working with the horses, training, repairing, thinking. Sometimes he stares out at the land, wondering if it's all worth it, if the price of this legacy is too steep, if his son will grow up fighting the same war, with the same ghosts. But then he hears the baby cry, and suddenly the doubt fades. Spencer walks back into the house, picks up his son, and whispers, "I'll protect you, no matter what comes." That promise becomes his new purpose. In the following days, Spencer rides out with Jacob one last time. They visit old friends, nearby ranches, and settlements. They speak not as landowners, but as brothers in arms. They warn of what's coming. And slowly, alliances form. Ranchers who were once competitors now stand united under one truth. If they don't hold the line, they'll all lose what they've built. But even as the alliances grow, there's a growing sense that this fight won't end cleanly.